Hello, are we live? Hopefully. There is a soundbar moving on my microphone. There is some ugly fella looking at me. So hopefully we are up and running and live. If you're in chat, please do let me know that everything's fine. Then I can panic and adjust as need be. So if anybody's out there watching, hopefully that watching number will increase in a minute. Still waiting. Anyhow, whilst that is going on and hopefully everything is sounding fine and coming through fine, welcome to episode 25 of Tuesday Night Edits. Thank you very much for coming along or watching on catch up after the occasion. Like I say, this is episode 25, and if you haven't been here before, I am Andy Gray, a Northumberland-based landscape photographer, in a manner of speaking. Deal mainly with ICM photography, the style of photography that you make it whilst the camera is in motion. But I do a load of processing trickery as well, so therefore, kind of very much, I feel like I'm out on my own doing this kind of stuff. So, and basically tonight is called Tuesday Night Edits, and we do a lot of editing. But usually I'll have a bit of a preamble to start with, and tonight is no exception. So just as per your normal, chat is open, so do please get in that. I'll monitor that when I can. If you're watching on catch up later on, then please do leave a comment after you've watched for a bit. It's always good to know that people are out there and enjoying the content, or have criticisms of the content. But sometimes you can keep them to yourselves. Anywho, the title of excellent. Thank you very much, Tina. Thank you for letting me know, because sometimes you just don't know. All I'm going on is a green bar saying yes, you're live, but sometimes the sound isn't quite there. So, anyways, the title of tonight is Harrogate, because I actually left the county yesterday. I made it all the way down to Harrogate, down in the I haven't got my phone. Down in Yorkshire. Went down on the train yesterday, very nice. But I was actually down there for a talk for Harrogate Photographic Society. A lovely bunch of people, a huge room filled with people, which was good to see. And the slides for my talk up on the biggest screen I've ever seen that isn't a cinema screen. The bloody thing was huge, something like 4 meters across. So it was quite strange to see my work that big. So anyways, it was a great night. Everybody that came to speak to me, anyway, said they'd really enjoyed it and learned plenty, and had sparked some inspiration or ideas to adapt to their own photography, or certainly ways of looking into photography differently. So that's always good. You don't want to be boring people on these talks. You do want to be hopefully inspiring, challenging. Be quite challenging. So was an excellent night. So thank you very much to Harrogate Photographic Society for having me last night, and thank you for being so kind and supportive, and telling me you all enjoyed it, which was good. And especially thank you to Steve Oxley for putting me up last night and being a very gracious host by plying me with beer last night, and his good lady wife for cooking breakfast this morning. That was wonderful. So a big thank you to Steve for that. Yes, I was down in Harrogate, and so tonight I have some images of Harrogate, or one or two corners of it. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Just working through a couple of images, maybe just one. We'll see. They are fairly simple images, so they're maybe not going to be too extravagant on the processing side of things tonight. But it seems to have been a busy weekend, like a busy day yesterday. So it just happens that I was indisposed most of the day on the train, so I didn't really get to fully catch up with things, but over the weekend, Landscape Photographer of the Year was announced. So congratulations to everybody that was commended, highly commended, award winners, and all manner of speaking and included in exhibitions and the book. So well done everybody on that, and especially congratulations to Pete Roundtree, was it, that won the whole thing with his shot up in that famous Stobderg mountain thing in the frosty water. So anyways, congratulations to him. Well done, and well done everybody else that did well in it. I did get an image shortlisted, but that's as far as it got. It was an image of Dodo Stone Circle, which I may have be able to bring on the screen. I didn't plan this out, so I don't think I've really chucked it around social media either. So it's not one I've been hawking for quite a while. Where is it? Further on. Here we go. Move that to that screen, and then change screens. How do you change screen again? That one. So that was the shot I got shortlisted, which in a competition such as Landscape Photographer of the Year, it was quite, to me it's probably my best shot of the year so far. But I still chuckle when it got through the shortlisting, because Landscape Photography of the Year is prided on classic stuff and minimal processing and all this kind of stuff. Well, that image there had about 4 hours of processing on it, several iterations, lots of tweaking and all manner of things, and fakingness of things as well. So I did have a bit of a laugh that got shortlisted. So anyways, that was, what do you call it, success, failure, whatever. So anyways, that was Landscape Photographer of the Year. Whether I'll get the book or not, I'm not sure, but certainly the images I've seen, I've liked some of them. Some of them I'll nod along and say well done, but that's, art is subjective. We all like some things and we all don't like other things. So less said about that, the better. The other thing that happened yesterday was Adobe Max. Well, Adobe Max is still going on, but Adobe's big conference over in LA, and they announced yesterday updates to the various bits of software. Well, obviously the Creative Cloud thing. Some that kind of affect me in a way is there's been updates to Lightroom and Photoshop. The Lightroom ones are the only ones I've kind of really looked at, and apart from a brand new process version, if you scroll down and you look at the process versions, there is now a version 5. I think they've got rid of the years and things that they used to run by. They are now doing HDR panoramics. So instead of if you've got a panoramic with 5 shots across and you've got an HDR of each shot across the view, it will now all just do it automatically, instead of you adding, HDR in one bracket and then another bracket and then another bracket and then another bracket, and then putting the final, finished raws together in a panoramic. It now does it all in one go, and it probably takes a while because it's quite an intensive thing to do, but they've all put that together in. The other thing is there is a depth map masking thing, which I really have no idea why they've put it in, because I've just been watching Matt K's Lightroom video update thing, where he's gone through and explaining what it is. So according to him, this depth map applies to, there must be a phone out there at the moment, whether it's an iPhone or a Samsung or something like that, that somehow gets depth data, so like background, foreground, middle ground, and Lightroom for some reason has a way of latching onto that. So when you say drop a gradient mask, like a gradient filter over. It will potentially eventually go around the edges of it whilst when you move the sliders, in the similar way that they added in the luminosity masking in Lightroom in the last version, or maybe it's the version before. So I really don't know why they've put it into the desktop version, because it's a phone thing at the minute anyway. So I would have thought they would have just put that into the new phone, the Lightroom CC, which is for tablets and phones and mobile-y kind of stuff. The rebuilt version of Lightroom. So the good news is that Lightroom Classic is sticking around a bit longer. They're not forcing us onto this new stripped down version yet, which I'm sure they'll eventually catch up that version up to where the Classic is now. But they're pushing like online stuff and this Adobe Sensei artificial intelligence kind of stuff. Well, good luck if they're going to run artificial intelligence over my images, because no robot mind's going to have a clue what that's all about, is all I can say. The other thing is, if you're vloggers or YouTubers or whatever, they've released must be a stripped down version of Premiere Pro. Well, Premiere, it's called Premiere Rush. I haven't really looked into what it all does, but it's probably something that will make my life a little bit easier for making YouTube videos. That doesn't, you don't need all the power of everything within Premiere Pro to do things. But the only thing is, I need to get updated to Windows 10. I'm currently running Windows 7, and pretty much all the updates for everything apart from Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator and InDesign, everything else is now not compatible with Windows 7. So I'm going to have to get my finger out and actually upgrade to Windows 10, but then again that costs money, because it ain't free anymore. So yes, so that was a bit from yesterday. I think Adobe Max is still going on, but it's obviously I think everything was kind of announced yesterday on the program side of things. I think everything else today is just extra. I think Albert Watson did do a big speech at the keynote, which might be worth catching. I think he was fairly entertaining. Famous portrait photographer. So anyways, last night at Harrogate Photographic Society, I did debut a new product, or products. I've been working on these for a little while, and I haven't properly finished everything off, so I can actually properly announce it, because I'm going to put it into my email newsletters first. But I'm going to give you a little preview tonight. So, preview is that I might as well fully admit it, I am copying Simon Baxter and Ben Horn, two very good photographers out there on YouTube, and they do box sets. Ben Horn does an annual one, like a box portfolio at the end of the year, and Simon Baxter has been doing collections on a theme. So I am doing box sets. So I've picked out these lovely craft, quite naked cardboard boxes that'll fit A4 prints in. So these are going to be A4 prints, and within said box, this box is on the theme of Northumbrian coastal castles, and in this box is 3 prints. Well, there's some business cards to start with, some blurb, certificate, and then individually wrapped within some lovely tissue paper, double layered by the looks of it, is A3 prints, and they're all signed on to back, and they're all printed on Photospeed Art Fiber 300. Is it 300? Yes, Art Fiber 300. So there's 3 prints in these two boxes. So that first shot was Dunstanburgh, and then we've got Bamborough, and then another coastal one, or semi-coastal, because I haven't got to Lindisfarne since the scaffolding came down to get another proper shot of Lindisfarne. So I am going with Warkworth, and that image of Warkworth. So that's going to be box set number 1. So that's Northumbrian Coastal Castles Collection box 1. So it gives us the option of possibly doing a box 2 if they go down well. So that's that one. There is an inland coastal castles box, and same thing. You get your blurb and your certificate, and within this box, get all this stuff out the way. I will get on with all the editing soon. I just wanted to go through these with you. We've got a shot of Alnwick Castle there, and the next one is got a shot of Norham Castle up by the Tweed, and a shot of Harbottle Castle. Nearly forgot where it was there. So they're all there, all on lovely high quality archival paper, all nicely wrapped up in boxes. Blurb with them all lovely jubbly. I'm still working out what kind of price it is, so if you're interested in any of them, please do check me, sign up to my email newsletter. The link is below, and I'll probably by the end of the week hopefully have full details of them out there, and because I need to take pictures and all this kind of stuff, so I need to move these two big lamps into somewhere more sensible and actually shoot some product photography this week, as well as get lots of other things sorted out. So like I say, them boxes, there's three images in each. And finally, obviously completely copying Ben Horn, I have an annual box, and this is I decided to do last year, 2017. So in here there is 10 shots, and there's a list of them. I'm not going to show you them all, but there'll be full details on my email newsletter and website at some stage in the very near future. But they're not all from Northumberland, these ones. There's Yorkshire and Northumberland. Yorkshire and Northumberland. I didn't go very far last year, obviously. So if you're interested in them, please do sign up to the email newsletter, and the link's below. Thank you, David. Nice to have you along. Was there anything else? Yes, I was going to say there will be an opening offer on those box sets. If you get signed up to the newsletter, and there'll be an opening offer, and it'll be a good whack off what I think I am intending charging, but I'm just going to confirm numbers and stuff before all that. And finally, the adverts and crap we've got to go through. Not really crap. In a couple of weekends' time, is it? Is it a couple of weekends' time? Three weekends' time is the Connected event in North Yorkshire. Obviously founded and whatever by Rob Knight, and if there's a link to details in the description below if you're interested in anything on that weekend. There's an exhibition and talks on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday there's three guided walks, well, 3 walks, Southgate, Whitby and States, hosted by various photographers, and they should all be good fun. And I'm on co-leading the Southgate one, if I can find my way there. So hopefully SatNav works that day. So I think that's enough shilling and hawking my wares and dealing with the normal intro stuff. So I think we can maybe get down to some editing. I'm sure those who are tuning in now and from the Harrogate Photographic Society, because there's quite a few out there that said you would be tuning in just to see what I've actually made from, or we're going to make from your fair town. I thought I'll crack straight on and get some editing of Harrogate. I mean, admittedly, I didn't take a lot of images in Harrogate. I only took 300 everybody again 300 only. But I do need to take a lot of images just to get some decent movement. So I had a walk around the Valley Gardens, and there was a few nice kind of views, but fairly restrictive. There's not, Harrogate's deceivingly flat. So there's not big tall buildings and things like that. So you don't. I usually use a lot of heights and changes and structures on horizon lines and things like that to work with. So it was a bit tricky because everything's quite flat, and when you've got the wide angle, I only took my camera and my wide angle lens, so it kind of flattens everything out. But I did have a walk around the Valley Gardens, and then I had a bit wander over to some big flat open common area, which I can't remember. It starts with NS. Was it the Stay or the Straw or something like that? People did tell us about 5 times last night when I kept on saying where I'd been, and I still can't remember which one it is. So there's not much variation of images, but here we go. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch that light off so I can see what I'm doing on screen. So it will be a little bit darker. Now that these nights have cut right in, it's dark outside, I haven't got that extra light coming in to nullify the brightness of studio light. So I've already been through my 300 shots and picked out possible frames that I'll possibly use. So just cycling through these. This was some old pump house, which looked quite quaint in the surrounded by all the autumn colour, because things are changing rapidly down there. So I took quite a few there, and some of the shapes quite nice, just retaining just enough detail in the building. And you got plenty of space on the right hand side. You got the path in the front, so if you're thinking compositionally, you've got that leading line in and that kind of stuff, if you're concerned about such things. And again, another leading line in, this pavilion-y type of thing. A couple of chairs. Obviously, you can see the colour in the park there. Very nice, very pretty. Probably would have been very good if I had a lot of time and knew how to take pictures without wobbling the camera around. And then another location just a bit further around. I think it's a big hotel. It's just kind of up on I was going to say a hill, but it's a bit of a rise up there. So there's quite a distinctive couple of domes on it. Give you this shape here. You see better in this one. Bit shape, but because of the trees and stuff, it didn't really stand out from the landscape. But it was interesting shape enough anyway. So just snapped plenty of that, keeping things loose. And then just on the way out, I quite like this pavilion-y pagoda type of structure that runs quite a length of the gardens. Quite pretty. Obviously harks back to the Georgian or Victorian times when people would go out walking, promenading, or whatever you call it. But I don't think it really worked here. I think it was just the sun was getting very low in the horizon behind these trees, so that just made the sky very bright, and I just don't think it quite worked. So if I make anything of them, I'll be very lucky, but I think I'll concentrate on others tonight. Had a bit further, well, after I'd gone and got fed, I had a bit more wander around as the sun went down. Found this big open green patch, and at the edge was this church, and you can see the spire there. Looked quite pretty, and of course I only had my wide angle lens with us. The very time I could have done with something with a bit more zoom, I didn't have it with us. Not that I ever use my 70-200 for ICM work, just purely trying to control something when you zoomed in to 70mm. It's pretty tricky. It's bad. It's tricky enough when you're at 16mm, when you've got all that to play with. So I just had a wobble with these scenes, you know, all quite similar. You know, the spire pretty much on the left hand third, the horizon kind of on the bottom thirds, and just, you know, just kept on rolling, kept on shooting, and like, you know, checking now and again just to see what kind of movements and shapes I was getting. So I've kind of gone through and picked out ones that I think look good as brush strokes. So some zoomed out, and then the sunset went crackers. Some lovely colour started appearing, so I went wider, trying to incorporate that but not turn the camera too much. So the edge of the the edge of the lens was actually looking at the sun directly, because if you start doing that, then you're moving the camera, you get light streaks following throughout your image. So potentially if I'd shot a little bit further to the right, the sun, you know, was probably about here, but if I'd moved the camera over in that direction and back across, I would have had a big white streak going through the image, which I try to avoid at pretty much all costs. And obviously as the sun was going down, Harrogate is a busy town. I think it's a town, not a city. I presume it is a town. There's a lot of traffic around, so there are light streaks just from the traffic, as you'll probably see as we scroll through these last few. But yeah, I was just trying to keep things loose, I was doing quite a bit of up and down movement, or rather, you know, just getting enough data onto the sensor and moving it down just to keep things quite faded as well. You see here you've got light streaks from the traffic here. But that, you know, an image like this, what I'm looking for, you know, you've got this colour in the sky here, and you've got the hint of the spire, you've got the trees. So an image like this may actually be shot in Harrogate, but it might look something very much not Harrogate, if you know what I mean. You know, it could be like just a, you know, country scene that just happens to have a church spire sticking out of the top. So they're all, like I say, they all fairly similar. It was a nice scene. I just wanted to get as many shots as I could, so I had as much choice as possible to work with data later on. So I'm kind of hoping that these images, with them being a fairly simple, straightforward kind of composition, they will be fairly quick to edit, I'm hoping. But there's obviously no guarantees once I get going. I thought I've got a few to go. You see bigger light streak in there. Obviously I've already been through and picked out the ones where it didn't really work, but I quite like that coming across there. It could be useful at some stage. It could really make an image. So there you go. That's all, everything I've picked out. So 65 picked out of 297, which is probably what I've kind of expect to keep from 300 shots, about 60. You know, that's because of the randomness of ICM. So you will have a lot of throwaways. That's just part of the course, part of the territory. So how long are we going to be on? Half an hour. So I'm going to look to bash out possibly 2 quick images. So I'm going to avoid the first few, or I might come back and do that pump house, but I'm going to avoid most of the gardens and just launch straight into one of these church spire type ones. And I actually like the ones with the trees in the front. The layout of the common land, or whatever you want to call it, there's walkways through it, and there's trees alongside these walkways. So I was on one walkway looking across another walkway, so that's why there's trees. And then I went round to that walkway that I'm looking at, and then shot it without the trees in front of us. If you kind of follow what I mean. So I'm just going to blend a couple of these together. I think some of these more washed out ones. To me, this image itself could well work as, you know, on its own. It may not need any blending together with others. but I'm going to start off with these ones. So we're just going to do a normal cleanup as I usually do. So lens corrections, enable all that. See where we're at. Possibly just add in, see what the white balance will do. So that automatically warms it up, under auto it's warming it up a touch there as well. Possibly just a touch of contrast. Don't need to bring highlights down. I think it's pretty good as a flat raw. I don't want to bring in blacks too much, because when we layer it together we may do the multiply blend mode, which therefore just multiplies everything out and it becomes very dark anyway, but we'll see. So yeah, I think we need a little touch warmer, and I think maybe it's a little bit more contrast actually. Just a touch under the exposure. Clarity I'm just going to look at, but probably avoid. Yeah, I think I'll just avoid that. And the important one to me, if you were at the talk last night, you'll know I mentioned it, and I mention it most weeks, is noise reduction. Even though I shot this at ISO 100, which makes it pretty clean, even at ISO 100, when you multiply layers together and then increase a certain layer, then that small amount of noise that's already there will expand and make the image pretty grubby by the end of it if you don't get rid of it at the start. So noise reduction, I usually slap it around about the middle just to kill any of that. But that all kind of thing depends on your camera, because even ISO 100 on the Nikon D700, which I've got, the ISO should be way better on the modern cameras. It's way better at the at the higher levels, but it should still be clean at ISO 100. Maybe it's cleaner, I should say. So just experiment, see what your camera actually produces. The details fine, and effects will be fine. Yeah. Well, I've already done the lens corrections, so all I'm going to do is, oh, I nearly forgot dust spots. Better clean them up just in case there's any. And I shot these at pretty much f4, f5.6, that kind of range. So I know for a fact at that f-stop, I know there's not a lot on my sensor. There's a lot of dust spots on my sensor, but they only pick up at them wider apertures. So that's that, and then all these will get synced over the 4 exposures. So just synchronize that, and then we'll stick these into Photoshop. So just a right click, oops, excuse me, open as layers in Photoshop. Just while we're on about the Adobe updates, I haven't actually updated Photoshop and Lightroom Classic yet today, because I thought I'll do it after the stream just in case it breaks something, just so I can give you a full stream tonight without it either being late or something breaking halfway through. So I will update later, and then we'll see how broken things have got with the update. So right, we've got all 3, 4 all there. So as usual, just blend these together. So just select all 4 layers, and I'm just gonna cycle through the blend modes. See, darken, it's not adding much. Multiply, you can see how dark things have got very quickly. And then I like to just cycle through just with the scroll wheel of the mouse. Just scroll through to see what presents itself to potentially work on. And at the minute, not a lot. Now that's interesting. Now if we get, if you discount this area here and just really think of blue sky, tree, church spire, tree, trees, obviously the edge of that tree, that to me that's looking very like a wintry scene. So that's maybe something to come back to at a later date, and kind of work on the image like that, because I know for a fact if I take one layer out, then it changes it. Now if I take another layer out, there you've got, it's the way the exclusion blend mode works. I think it kind of goes, if there's 2 layers it does it like this, if it's 3 it goes a different way, but if there's 4 it has a look similar to this. So it I've kind of figured out that exclusion work gives you that negative kind of look if there's 2 layers active or 4 layers active, or probably 6. Always doubles, but if you add in an odd number of layers, then it does it. Obviously if I switch this layer on, you can see it switches it around. So even that, in a bit of a pink, orangey pink sky, and apart from this bright blue here, it just gives you options to play around with. So anyways, I'm going to ignore exclusion. Just continue scrolling and see what we've got. So yeah, I think I could be coming back to, what did that scroll do? That one. Hue, that's why. So I think I'll definitely come back to that snow scene, and process that at some stage, because that looked quite promising. But that's not for tonight. And if I don't get out shooting in the rest of the week, because I'm very busy this weekend, it may be that snow scene next week. I may hold it over, or practice it, and then show you how to do it. So dark and multiply. I think multiply is going to have to be the layer, but I'm going to take layers out depending on what is on them. So I really like that one as a base anyway. I think if we can go, that one's a bit low. And these, let's see what that one is. That one's around about the right height. So these 2 need moved to line up. You can see there's, we're lining over the top. Just going to drop that in there, roughly. This one's the same, just needs to be dropped in about there. Lovely jubbly. And we're just going to crop off the excess. So just come in to the edges there. Who's been playing around with my crops? Clear, gooey. Right, should work better. Should snap to the edges there. So, I mean, obviously now it's it's a bit of a dark kind of image, but we can lighten that up. Obviously we're not going to use this bottom layer, so we can just jettison that one. Scrap that there. But we can use, we can graduate the strength of these overlaying layers. So maybe just roll them back a touch. I'm quite liking that grubby dirt. Well, not I'm saying grubby, dirty kind of feel, that warmer. It does actually feel like evening, as it was evening when I shot it. I'm just gonna really, so I'm bringing a bit more lightness back into the foreground. And really, what I could do is just slip on a mask there. That was upside down. I need to go the other way. It's too strong. That's probably a bit too strong. Undo that. Yeah, that's better. Right. So nice base scene. Interesting. I think it's an interesting composition with the the 3 trees in the foreground and then the big tree on the right hand side, giving it a bit of a frame. It's not just a line with the church spire. There'll be plenty of more of them to come. So we are going to throw this into analog effect. Oh, before I move on, Howard did ask me in chat about overlaying colour, because I do usually add in some colour depending on what I'm going to do. So Howard, to answer your question, colour wise I'll tend to go in this kind of range of orange if I'm going to warm an image up. It all depends on when you drop it in and give the and make the blend mode the hue blend mode, such as, let's drop this in with a yellow and then move that to hue. Obviously it doesn't really show it here because there wasn't a lot of colour because it was evening for it to take it out. But what I've found is when you add in a colour in hues, you have to move the colour that you pick quite a lot before it jumps to another colour. It's hard to explain without showing. So obviously we've got orange there, and if I can go to green, you can pick a subtle green, drop that in, it'll make it quite vivid, because if we move into a lighter green, there's no difference whatsoever. So it is very much a case of the blues, reds, yellowy orange together, greens, probably purples and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to be very precise on your colour pick, because of it just grabs how it affects it. Seems to be a big wodge of colour rather than a very finite selection. That's just something I've kind of discovered as I've gone along over the years. So it's not like a case of pick an orange and then pick a red, because when you just cross that border between the two, it's going to go red or it's going to be orange, or like a warm tone. It's not going to be something in the middle. So just experiment with your colours when you're dropping it in. So add that in. Like I say, I can switch that off. There's not a lot of difference tonight because it's a fairly uncoloured scene anyway, because it was getting quite dark. But it certainly takes the green out of the field or park or whatever you want to call it. But I will scale this back to about 30%, as I usually do. Don't usually go overboard, but there's a very small change. Just warms it up a touch. So Howard, if you're still out there, hopefully that helps with what you asked us, and hopefully it was the right kind of thing. It was what you were asking us. So excuse me while I have a slurp. I've done a lot of talking the last 2 days, which is unlike me. So yes, Analog Effects Pro 2. I'm going to fire that up. Wait for an age for it to load in, probably. Oh great, you're out there, Howard. Thank you very much. So hopefully that kind of explains my choice and why I pick certain colours. It's almost just 5 colour groups. You don't need to be too selective, and just use the opacity slider to scale things back if you want them scaled back. Right then, obviously whilst that was loading I was having a drink and not selling stuff, so just so you know, if you're interested in working with Analog Effects Pro 2, and if you would like a head start with making images similar to this, then my presets are available from shut up camera phone. Presets are available, and they are available from that link, and there's a direct link in the description below as well. Right, hopefully that's the last of the selling for tonight. You'll be all glad to know. So obviously just looking through my presets, I have nothing in mind how this might go. This might well be a case of it's an interesting image to start with, and whatever I do with it isn't going to make it any more interesting. But you never know. Let's have another scroll through because I didn't see much there to play with. God, it's tricky when you do this live. This is where things go wrong. If you were watching last week, the second image I made just wasn't happening. Didn't work at all. This one's got a little bit of promise, I think. Oh, I forgot. I've got some other new presets as well, haven't I? But they don't look like doing anything either. Not to worry. Right, still exposure. I'm just gonna move these around, see what happens. I would like it to get it to the stage so it actually there's something from the overlay interacting with the the main exposure and the main image. As you can see, we're just straight up and down, straight swap round, upside down. So spire on spire, but it's probably not working that well. It may be a case of just something simple like that. Just wondering if I could spin that around and actually bring in, I'm pointing at the bloody screen, I'm pointing at the wrong screen there, bring in a bit of a, almost like a frame across this corner using the tree as an overlay, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. You know, like that. So something like that. No, it wants to be darker. That's darker anyway. Exposure balances wants to be less. But I don't want I'm not that keen on having the leaves as deep. Well, I'm saying details like that. So maybe try to blur that a bit. That's better. Yeah, that's not too bad. But what I would like is a bit more darkness across the top. So I am thinking I may run this through again. Let's have a butchers at this, faded. Let's go back now, and that needs to be faded. So it gives it that misty, almost like a misty morning kind of look about it. Yeah, that needs to go back to there. Put there. Lens vignette, have we got anything on? We have. So that's circular, bring that down because I was wanting. I'm going to bring in some more drama up here, hopefully with another edit. So we'll just confirm that and go back into Photoshop. Right. So anybody out there in chat, if you've got any questions, just do fire away. I'm here to help. And if you're watching on catch up, then and you've got any questions, please do leave them there as well. And I will try to answer them in a text format if it's possible. So as like generally, I'm okay with this image, but I think we could bring in a bit more drama up here in this area, and possibly even almost mirror this corner over here to really surround it. So we'll just slip back straight into Analog Effects Pro 2 just to create another layer to work with. Whilst this loading, I won't give you another advert for something, so don't worry about that. So let's see what we got. It may be a case of making a new, well, not a new preset, but starting from scratch. Just really because I'm not wanting to lose that colour I've already got. So I think we'll just create a new camera kit. So up to cameras, camera kit, build, knock off that one, knock off, we'll leave in lens vignette, but we need double exposure for sure. Basic adjustments we better have. That was already there, sorry. Levels and curves we better have. There's an option, and then we can play. So that's already brightened things with the double exposure. So that needs to. Is that as dark as what it was before? Darker. That needs to come up a bit. Out there is reasonably close to 4. Lens vignette needs to come off for the time being. Double exposure, we will just increase to maximum size. We're going to spin it upside down. And hopefully going to bring in some drama from the top. But maybe we need more. Actually, maybe it's not going to work. That's because I've got the zoom strengths at full, that's why it's not showing up that well. So that's better. I'll just crush that down a bit. So it gives a bit more feeling up there. I'm not that convinced it's actually working, but hey ho, sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. That's a good thing about this kind of process, you can back out of it if you want. Would something like that work? What was it before? No, I just wanted to flick between two. Actually, with them streaks in the sky, it's not working too well. But it's not bad actually. So if I could bring that across. Just take that across there. Let's just play with the curves a bit. Do want to brighten it, but maybe it's not so orange like that. I did like that dusky kind of look. Lift the blacks there. Bring the saturation down because them oranges are far too bright for me. Gonna wash it out so it's not very contrasty. Darken it. Yeah, darken it, darken it, darken it. Yeah, that'll look good. So something like that. It's not too different from previous layer, but it gives us an option whether I like it or not. And also, once I've confirmed this and it's gone back to Photoshop, I can actually then blend those two finished layers together and to get something possibly. Maybe just one of these images that takes a little bit more thought just to get through it. Overlay it. capacity. Well, there's about 50% there. Just see, cycle through them again just to see what they're like. Actually, nice. When I've cycled through them, they're looking okay. I think I've gone all that effort and all I've done is lighten the foreground a bit. So I think I've abandoned that thought of like an oppressive kind of cloud at the top of the image. Just kind of leave it like this, and maybe it's even just crop the image in by there as well, which I'll do in Photoshop in a minute. Not in Photoshop, in Lightroom. So I think we'll just save that, and that will send us back into Lightroom. Bloody hell, it's 56 minutes we're in. I really maybe do a quick one just to see if it'll come together. So this takes an age to save, as per usual. Very slow. Right. Close that. Lightroom. So that's now in there. Crop 2:3 by about there. Bring that in a touch. I need to drop that down. No, maybe like at the bottom there. There you are, just a hint of a scene. I don't mind that. It might take a bit of growing on me, I'm not sure, but I don't mind that at the minute. So I'll give that 3 stars so I can find it as a finished image or a nearly finished image. Do I have a quick go at one of these ones? Just see how stupid we can get with it. Then we want to develop it. Basic. We'll go auto color, white balance rather. Automatic processing just to see what spits out. No, let's not put the highlights all the way down there. We want a bit of highlight to use. Let's put the exposure back. Contrast back to flat. Yeah, that's better. So sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Lens corrections, let's just straighten things out. Detail, flatten out the noise reduction. No, flatten out the ISO noise rather. There's plenty of warm colours in here, so I don't think we need to be adding in anything extra. What else do I do? Dust spots. I probably shot this a little bit faster. No, I can't see any because there's too busy. Right, done, and just gonna bring the shadows out a touch more, just so I can pick up a bit more detail and a bit more colour. And then how many of these do we apply it to? Oh, let's put the boat out and let's add it to 5. So just sync them across. And then edit these in as layers into Photoshop. Shut that. Come on. Now it's going to take a while to load in. Yep, maybe so you're just stuck to 3. One last one to render. That is done, nearly. Right, and we're there. Shut that one down. Gives us a bit more memory to play with. Straight away, I'm not going to add in any colour here. really just going to go straight into blend modes. So we've got dark, and you can see how I play around with these things generally. Lighting kind of works. Then the overlays don't really work this time. Where's that exclusion one? See if this works if I take one out. Nah, not this time, Jim. So I think we are looking at light and blend mode, but what we'll have to do is just realign some of the things. So we're just gonna start with a base image where things are, maneuver stuff into position. You don't have to be dead on accurate with these things, because if things aren't quite in the right, that was a really blurry one, wasn't it? If it's not in a right, right in the right place, then it can create a nice effect. So let's switch that one on because there was a bit of detail in this one. Yep, there you go. There's a bit of detail. You see how it kicks out just there, but then has to kick in. Little defects like that doesn't matter. It'll possibly give the image more character as well. So I'm just going to turn this one on as well. And that one, I think all I'm going to do is leave in this point here where there's a bit of like architectural detail in the roof structure. So I'm just going to invert and drop a mask in there, and then just paint this back in with 100% opacity brush just in there. So there's a bit of detail in there. The rest of it's kind of washed out and lovely jubbly. So something like that. Crop out the extra areas. About there. I think how far across with it. See, in line with there, something like that. Like just for balance. So it's on the thirds. If you like that kind of thing, about there. Crop the rest off. And then I'm nearly tempted to drop some colour into that, but I'm going to withhold. Just go straight into Analog FX Pro, and let's see what craziness can come out of this. Right then, so down to my list of presets. Quick ferry through them just to see what's that one doing? Not a lot. I think it might needed a bit of extra colour in there. I don't know. Ooh, something like that. Gives you a bit nice autumnal kind of feel. Yeah. What's that one like? Is that one a bit better? No, maybe it's not. Maybe it was that Hedgley one. Quite liking that. Just gonna expand that to full scalability. Bring that up. Look at them deep reds. Scare my printer to death. Those reds. Let's flip it and you'll see what happens. Oh, it's already flipped. Stop flipping around. Just moving the double exposure around just to see what kind of effects we get. That's quite nice there. Leaves the path into the building. You can still see the doorway or window or whatever it is. Actually, it's better back there. Yes, the sky's a bit bright. We've lost that big tree, but I don't mind that too much. I may well crop it quite narrow. This. Yes, there's not much going on in this area, but that wasn't in reality, so maybe there's no great loss there. So I think we'll just come out of there. And I'm just going to drop a hue and saturation layer and look to master is just stick some red, intense red into this. Just really go, try to push it and see how, not to see how nuts we can get it, but back in 0. Curves layer, let's bring this down, darken it down. Let's move the wrong way. Something like that makes it look like there's flowers in this garden, but it was actually fallen leaves. Interesting little little view. Oh, let's for the hell of it, let's stick it back in Analog FX Pro for those last few that are still here. Thank you very much for being dedicated enough to be still here. As soon as I wrap this, it'll be stick and bake off on to see what the end result is. I'm even debating one finals week on whether I'm actually going to have a live stream. So I want to watch Bake Off. So yeah, this isn't. It's gone very dark, very stupid, very quickly, hasn't it? Like I said, I was only doing it for the hell of it, but I don't think that's gonna fly. Just looking through this, I don't think there's anything that's gonna work to make it better. It was just a joke kind of try of it, just to see what was going on. No, I think that's a bit too grim. I think not anything like that, but maybe scale it down a bit. So what I think, just going to move that because them lines are in the way. I don't want them there. They're upside down, that's why. Flip it back right around the right way. Oh, look at that red. All that red. Lovely. I'm just going to square that off. Drop the exposure balance. Lens vignette. Bring this in a ton. That's as small as it'll go, yep. And something about there. Done. Okay. We are getting there. So there's something like really intense like that, but we can obviously, look at another blend mode to see how it'll blend with, how nice it'll play with the layers below, in a way. Ooh, keeps that green there, but the intense red there. Oh, you bugger! What's that theme? That's actually quite nice, that one. With just, I mean, that's just using the hue of the top layer and interacting with the structure of the base layer where all the greens and stuff are. That looks quite unique because you're almost getting into like a purple in this area if you look hard enough. So let's just try with the opacity, just drop that just a touch, just to, yeah, it's still on the higher setting. It's not bad. Not bad, not bad. Let's just try a curves layer. Play around. Bit of vibrant. Bit of brightness in there. Keep it. No, I don't want to drop that too much because it'll look flat. Ooh. How sickly is that? That's it's an image. It's a quickie. It's a 10-minute job at the end of an episode. I'm quite happy with that for 10 minutes work. So we'll just save that. Cancel. I wanted to save that. Save, not close. Saving? Yes, saving. So whilst that saves, that's 2 images. One was just a bit of a joke one at the end, and the first one kind of worked. Not my best work, obviously, but that's one of the delights of Tuesday night edits. You don't know what you're gonna get. I am not just showing you the best of me, or say like finishing an image and then going back and then working through it again as if I'd never shot it before, never made it before. Like some do. This is raw. I haven't edited any of these beforehand. They're just straight. I mean, I only loaded them into Lightroom at about 5 o'clock tonight. Quick pick through of various frames I was going to use, and then away from there. So we've got, what am I looking at me for? That image, which is a joke one for the night, just a random one to finish off with. Set that to 3 so I can find it. And then this image that made at the start, which is alright, don't mind it. Bit more time, a bit more dedication. I can probably make more of an image with maybe other shots taken around it. You never know, but quite happy with that as a starting point. So yeah, we've made 2 images. Neither that great, but we're there. But yeah, that's one of the things I do enjoy doing is that not only am I... Thank you very much, Robert. Glad to have you along. It's very raw, very unfiltered, and it just, you never know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to come out of the blend modes and things like that. So it is just building on the fly, but bringing you along with me whilst I do it, because this is the kind of stuff I'll do pretty much all day anyway. When I've got the time is sit and play around in Photoshop and everything else, just seeing what happens, see what images come about, because they're all obviously all made in post, or a lot of it is made in post, as you've seen. So I think that'll wrap for tonight. Thank you very much everybody who's watched, both live and hopefully, well, if you're watching on catch up and you get this far, you want a bloody medal. Anywho, so thank you for everybody that's been in chat tonight. A little bit quieter than normal, but good to have you along. Some of the regulars may be away or forgot that I'm doing these. So yeah, thank you again to Harrogate Photographic Society for having me last night. It was a pleasure to be with you all, and hopefully some of you out there that have been watching, I've got more of an idea of what I do and what I was trying to explain last night. And obviously these images tonight don't quite dazzle as much as some of the ones last night, but you know, that's the breaks. This is pretty raw and unfiltered and unrehearsed, and I don't know what's happening, so that's just the way it goes. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up and leave a comment if you've enjoyed it as well. Comments are great, thumbs ups are great, and if you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe if you would like to see more and be notified. Hit that bell icon, it is down below. That's the way to find me. So if you are looking for me, you can catch me on that one. Shit, I'll get this the right way around. Twitter and Instagram at Andrew S. Gray. Easy to find. Pretty much everything's Andrew S. Gray somewhere on the internet. That's all me. So hope to see you out there again sometime soon. And yeah, I think I'll do. Good night. Enjoy. Sleep well. Whatever. Thanks. Bye.